from a value chain perspective, from a training perspective, from a cultural policy perspective. So I'm excited that we're being led by various players in the ecosystem who will be demonstrating where and how they're supporting the structuring of the CCI ecosystem. But before we do that, I would love to invite our opening speaker from AFD, Selene Gillian. Please join us on stage. Selene heads up... Selene is the head of Social Link Division and will be sharing us the research that AFD has embarked on.
Thank you very much, Leslie. Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank our moderator and our panelists and all participants for joining this section on such crucial topic, cultural and creative industries. This discussion this morning is part of a dedicated program on sport and culture introduced for the first time this year at the FIX. A strong signal as integrating culture and creative industry into the development agenda remains a challenge. Our CCI have a rightful place in this agenda of development as they foster social cohesion, economic growth, and job creation, especially for young people and women. AFD has been supporting this sector since 2018, and since then the AFD Group has invested 480 million euros in CCI, funding around 100 projects. Our group is also conducting mapping and research on CCIs to demonstrate their economic and social impact and to try to shift perception of risk in the sector. The objective for us is to encourage both public and private sectors and actors, local and international, to invest in a context where cultural sector is underfinanced and where global investment in culture has been declining for the last 10 years. A first study funded by the Art and Culture Coalition was presented at the FIX Arena opening session, mapping the current state of culture and development initiative supported by PDBs. Today, I would like to share key findings from a complementary study we conducted with Bearing Point on the economic weight of CCIs. This study has just been published on our website and is freely accessible, so do not hesitate to check it out. So findings from our study: first, CCI are a major driver of economic growth and job creation worldwide, representing nearly 2.3 billion euros revenue, 2.3 trillion euros revenues, 6% of global employment, and 3.1% of the world GDP. And CCI are growing rapidly in emerging countries, contributing to GDP and employment. On the screen, you'll see example of figures you can find in the study. And the good news is that some financial institutions and governments are increasing their investment in CCIs. Few examples: Benin. Public authorities are supporting the renovation and creation of cultural equipment and have defined an ambitious cultural public policy targeting a 20% contribution to GDP from tourism and culture. Morocco, the kingdom is committed to developing infrastructure for the video game industry, as demonstrated by the creation of City of Gaming in Rabat with a total investment of $26 million. Afrexim Bank has doubled its funding for Africa creative industry to 2 billion over the next 3 years. However, so this was the positive part. However, CCIs still face significant barriers to developing their potential. And so in the study, 4 key actions have been identified. So I'm going to quickly go through those key action levers. So first, public policies and governance. So the application of copyright, for few items under this key action. The application of copyright laws remain complex. Creators are exposed to economic losses and inadequate protection of their work. There is a lack of effective dialogue among the different professionals in the sectors, industries, institutions, creative stakeholders, investors. In many countries, CCI do not yet appear to be recognized as a true economic sector. Second topic, entrepreneurship and access to funding. Public investment rely mainly on grants from the Ministry of Culture, which are often, we know, very limited. Regarding private investment, commercial banks and venture capital funds consider CCI as a high-risk sector. CCI enterprises are mainly SMEs that operate in the informal sector, and underfinancing leads to a lack of job opportunities. Then regarding training and capacity building, we know that there's a lack of certified training courses. There's a critical need for managerial skills among professionals in the CCI sector in areas such as the management of cultural venues, human resource management, financial and strategic management. Finally, there's a lack of technical and financial support for export. Last item, infrastructure and equipment. There is a lack of access to essential raw materials such as cotton for fashion, paper for publishing, and wood for craft, as well as a lack of access to suitable production infrastructure such as textile manufacturing units or recording studios. So in conclusion, some solutions are already being implemented to address those challenges and unlock the full potential of CCIs. And today, our panelists will introduce some of those initiatives. However, there's still room for innovation, and this panel offers a great opportunity to explore new solutions together. The Art and Culture Coalition of PDB also provide a platform for collaboration. So please do not hesitate to join the coalition. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Celine. When I shared about today's conversation on social media as we do, I found myself feeling gutsy when I called the creative and cultural industries an asset class when it comes to public bankers. Now, this is language that the creative industry often don't think about or don't speak about. And we're starting to find each other now where more creatives are starting to adopt more business language, but also financiers entering into the world of creatives and starting to see its contribution in innovation and creativity. So, Celine, thank you for it. But to kick us off, I'd love us to, our panelists, to please introduce yourselves and share just very creative and cultural industries, or your organization does. And we have panelists from South Africa, Nigeria, the EU, Brussels, so really rich representation. Antti, can I ask you to kick us off?
Yes, so my name is Antti Karhunen. I'm Director for Sustainable Finance at the European Commission. We are, of course, a big organization. We have one big team also working on culture. It is not my team, but I participate very much into this discussion as someone who looks at the financial side of things. So we want to help unlock the potential of this sector through the tools that we do, and which in turn are helpful for local financiers and entrepreneurs going downstream. So EU is a very high, how would I say, upstream actor in this, but I think that, then the tangible results we see very much on the ground. And particularly, I would like to start by saying how wonderful it is to talk about these things in South Africa, where we are surrounded by so beautiful art and culture. We see it everywhere, and so thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you. Could you please pass the mic on to Mark?
Hi, my name is very loud. My name is Mark Harris. I'm the CEO of WITS's Digital Innovation Hub. So the creative industries is a critical part of the investment and the development programs that we put in place over the last couple of years. I think it's very important. I see a lot of numbers being bandied about 3 to 6% GDP contribution. And I think for the first time I detected the excitement that we've made this particular forum as the CCI industry. So, and hopefully we can translate that excitement into something that helps to build out these industries across Africa and across South Africa. So we do incubation and innovation across all areas, including things like sustainability, climate tech, etc. But also the key part for us is to help to build out the creative industries in order to create employment and create new industries in this particular model. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Masana Chikega, and I'm the Acting Chief Director at the Department of Arts and Culture, Acting Chief Director in the Creative Industries. And I think it's very exciting to have this platform where we can get to talk about the creative industries. In most forums like this, the creative industries are not really in the forefront. So this is exciting, talking with peers and seeing how we can develop the creative industries further, and also with regards to the partnerships. So at the department, we work across all the sectors of the creative industries, inclusive of music, crafts, performing arts, visual arts, film, design, cultural tourism, and cultural diplomacy. So this is a very good platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Uche Cynthia Walker. I work for Bank of Industry Nigeria. And I'm happy to let the audience know that I'm a pioneer staff of the group in charge of creative industry activities in Bank of Industry. This started in 2011, which is almost over 14 years now, when the bank got interested in supporting businesses in the creative projects. It was obvious that our creatives were selling our country positively to the world. Staying around the arena, you can hear Nigerian music everywhere, and you could see our cultures in terms of fashion and other crafts from the country. The bank started supporting the industry in 2011. 2012, we were able to take Nigeria as a business to the London Olympics. And there we had a Nigerian house where we showcased all the activities around the creative world in Nigeria. We had a summit that was sold out and a creative market that was also very attractive, selling our music, our films, and our fashion. Till date, the bank has been able to strengthen our distribution arm in terms of physical cinemas. We have grown the cinema outlets. We've supported huge contents. Most of the contents on Netflix has been supported by the bank. We've been able to spread our support to almost 16 segments because we did a mapping of this industry with British Council, and we're able to find out that within the creative arm, we'll be able to support close to 16 business segments, and that we have started and we will continue to do more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Jean-Michel Koenig. I'm the partner and finance director at Triggerfish Animation. I'm always grateful for the opportunity to promote the creative industries in Africa because I really believe in its huge potential. Our studio is one of the continent's leading producers of original animation content for global distribution, and in that we work with most of the studios and streamers. Thank you.
Thank you. You can send the mic back up this way. Thanks. Evert?
Hello, everyone. My name is Evert Wouters. I'm a Global Partnerships Advisor at Enable. Enable, as its name says, it's an organization that enables, that acts as a facilitator. Officially, we are the Belgium Development Agency. Personally, I don't like very much the terminology of development agency. We are more an agency that facilitates partnerships with our partner countries, mainly in Africa and in the Middle East. And in Africa, often it are in fragile states, and then in the Middle East. So the environment is not always very easy politically, and also security and other logistic issues. Enable works about 5 global challenges. We're offering solutions for 5 global challenges. Those are mainly social and economic inequalities, human mobility, urbanization, peace and security. I don't think I forget something.
Sure.
Okay, personally, I have a long experience on the field. I lived in total 15 years in Guinea. I was the last 5 years country director in Guinea before I took the position of partnership advisor at the headquarters in Brussels. And we work together. We are financed the half from the Belgian government, and the other half of our financing is coming from other donors, mainly also the European Union, but also we have very active cooperation agreements with AFD and other ones.
Sure.
Okay. And just maybe to say that for the cultural and creative industries, indeed, we put up a project together with the European Union in Guinea, which has a successful impact, and I can give a testimony later here.
Thank you. Andy, to kick off with you, the EU has invested or is investing 50 million euro into the creative industries, and that's quite a large commitment. Can you share with us where and how?
Industries are really a huge driver, as has been said, more than 6% of global employment and more than 1% of global GDP, and employing so many young people, employing so many women. So these are the types of things that the European Union really wants to be partnering with. And I agree very much with what Evert just said. Partnerships should be at the heart, and that's very much what the European Union wants to do also in this sector. So perhaps I say a few words about how we have looked at this and how our investment is hopefully helping to unlock the potential of the sector. So we have created a tool called Creatify. It's a 20 million blended finance initiative and it aims at leveraging impact investment in cultural and creative industries across the African and Caribbean and Pacific countries. And the main objectives that we want to achieve are to improve, firstly, access to finance for MSMEs and CCI organizations. We want to strengthen the local financial systems, and we also try to enhance market access for CCIs by increasing the business capacities and of the different subsectors. We do recognize that there is a need for many tailored solutions, and so we, through this Creatify tool, we have sort of three complementary access streams that we can talk about. So first one is called the Crea Fund. It's implemented by our partner Proparco. It encourages financial institutions to invest in CCIs by providing access to a specific guarantee scheme, de-risking new investments in the creative sector, and also providing technical assistance that fosters better understanding of the CCI market and supports enterprises. The second leg of Creatify is called Fashionomic. Another partner, African Development Bank, is implementing that. It focuses initially on fashion value chain and enhances access to finance through both private and public capital, and also provides training, helps connecting with investors, and offers also a digital marketplace to boost business growth and global visibility. And then a third leg is implemented by the World Bank, and that supports global knowledge component, providing insights to global CCI trends and success factors and best practices. And this also supports 6 ACP countries with a complementary private and financial sector development activities. So in short, we try to address the challenges such as financial risks, market access barriers, skills gaps, and also we want to attract more capital to underfunded regions with our activities, and hope thereby, to unlock the opportunities.
Thank you. Masana, and just carrying on with the theme around partnerships, could you please share with us around South Africa's creative and cultural and industries master plan? Now, it does lay out quite a bold, grand vision for the country, but it's not easily implementable. Where and how can partnerships, particularly with public development banks, support its implementation?
Thank you, Leslie. The master plan was developed about 3 years ago to set out key interventions that, in essence, were to strengthen the focus on the creative industries and also motivate for more sector funding across the board. It was also to create quality jobs, grow a sustainable and inclusive creative economy, and also to ensure that the creative industries effectively contribute to transformation and job creation as a whole, and also to build on the potential of the creative economy to contribute greatly to innovation in the shift towards the digitization and the 4IR. And as we all know, the CCIs play a role in the economic landscape of South Africa, and they represent a significant opportunity for sustainable growth across the board, for jobs, everything. And it is also a sector that encompasses a range of activities. As I've mentioned, we work across the crafts, and with the crafts, it's mostly community-based, and we work with music, we work with design. And currently, the CCIs contribute approximately 4.3 to the national GDP. And despite all these facts and all the figures, the sector still faces numerous challenges that hinder its full potential. And these challenges hinder the sector to grow but through partnerships that we have with several organizations and some that we are still developing with, I mean, even the panel that is here, that we can still talk to grow further. I think in terms of the public-private partnerships, this would help, and in the sector, we still need, there are still a number of challenges, especially in terms of IP laws that we need to develop. So working with other partners, we can develop this and make this more, more stringent. And also engagements with multinational corporations, if we can attract interested parties that can tap into the African creativity and we can showcase our talent internationally. This can assist for the CCIs to also grow and contribute more towards the GDP.
Okay. Cynthia, being in a bank, and if you listen to all the challenges Masana has also outlined, and you almost is this interface between the public ambition, even from an EU perspective, to working directly as a bank. Within the context of this risk, where and how has Bank of Industry gone about converting CCI to an actual asset class?
Okay.
And especially in terms of supporting these potential high-risk entrepreneurs in the creative industries.
Yeah, thank you very much. Permit me to introduce Bank of Industry to the audience. BOI is a development finance institution with a mandate to drive and transform Nigeria's industrial development growth plans. The bank actively invests in businesses across various sectors of the economy by providing long-term financing opportunities, advisory services, advocacy services, market exposure, and technical assistance to support entrepreneurs within MSMEs and large enterprises. BOI focuses on supporting high-impact sectors, and CCI is one of those sectors that drive economic growth through job creation, export promotion, wealth creation, import substitution, GDP growth, and other developmental indices. The growing business opportunities within the various segments in the culture and creative industries, and the huge potentials of growth contributed to the business decision to create a dedicated group for the interest of supporting businesses within CCI sector. This started since 2011, and the progress we have noticed based on performance has been very encouraging. The steady growth of the industry without structured financing opportunities from the financial institutions was very significant. It was observed that entrepreneurs depended solely on personal funds and funds from families, friends, and angel investors to support their projects. Yet, they kept the industry steady and growing. This attracted the bank to also look at how we can support the industry with cheap funds, with long-tenured and monitoring periods to support projects. Furthermore, the demography of the creatives and investors in CCI was another key attraction. It addresses one of the 6 focus areas of the bank, which is youth and skill development. In addition, the businesses within the CCI also cut across the interests BOI has in the development plan. And these areas are always obvious in the CCI sector. Our major area of focus were MSMEs, youth and skills development, gender support, infrastructure finance, climate action, and digital economy.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Can I ask you to pass the mic back this way? And Everett, if you could share your mic with Jean-Michel, please. Jean, you as an entrepreneur at the cold face of this discussion, and could you please share with us what kind of financial instruments has Triggerfish been able to access or use in order to produce actual animation films and series? So we're having like quite a large discussion, but you in the day-to-day reality, could you speak to some of that? Everett, please share your mic with.
To produce our films, we've used project-based financing. About half the budget comes from a local development bank. The other half of the budget we generally get from what we call gap financing, which is last money in, first money out. And then the balance of the budget comes from soft funding in the form of film incentives. This is project-based financing is exhausting. It takes a lot of time to put together. So going forward, what we are looking to do is put in place slate financing that we are able to finance multiple films at the back to back. For the TV and episodic content, those are traditionally financed by the broadcasters or the streamers. So it's a much neater and easier financing package to put together.
Thank you. Mark, over to you. Some of these industries in the CCIs, particularly in the audiovisual space, animation, gaming, they traditionally usually have quite a high barrier of entry, especially if you look at infrastructure, equipment costs, etc. Could you speak to us about where and how Tsimologong goes about making market entrepreneurs in the creative industries that can get to market and succeed?
Thanks, Leslie. I think you framed it quite neatly. That there's a lot of questions, and I've heard it at the conference around as well, that is investment linked more to philanthropy and the difficulty from the finance institutions about the return of investment and where they make their investment. So the role of PDPs in CCI has been critical for us, extremely critical. Fortunately, there were some PDPs who had the foresight about what the importance of this is, and from AFD, GIZ, and I believe Afrixim BAM across Africa, has really laid a foundation. But there's a second dynamic, and the second dynamic, which is pretty important, is what I call the democratization of CCI. So I think it's the first time that as a market and as an economy, that we have really been able to use digital technologies to make CCI available to a larger part of our society. And it's great to see the innovation and entrepreneurship that derives from that. Because the platforms today do not mean you have to go only to a school of arts, that you need a backing and capital in order to not just create the art or working culture or heritage, but also allows you to use these platforms to a much larger population in order to tap into the deep talent that exists across our continent. The question that comes up as well is that how much does CCI really contribute to economic growth? And yesterday, a couple of questions about how many jobs does it really create. So I think there's a fundamental principle around tapping into entrepreneurship development in order to drive job creations, in order to impact the economy. And I think this particular industry is extremely powerfully positioned in order to do that. So a lot of the programs that we have run is really about creating out this industry and then really developing new startups, entrepreneurship. And our own experience is that helping capacitate them, but those guys immediately get absorbed into our ecosystem. And that augurs well for the continued impact and growth. So hopefully the number will go from 3 to 6 to closer to 10. And I think forums like this is really, but there's a clear role around PDPs and where they need to make that and why they need to make that investment in CCI.
And I think there's enough data to substantiate, to have the type of economic impact across the whole of Africa. However, there are still challenges ahead. So, you know, if you looked at the maturity of most of the segments of this particular industry, there's an enabling environment. And, you know, I've heard Masana talk as an example about how a Department of Science, Arts and Culture can assist. And I think it's something where investment has to go to, about what is the enabling environment. I think the value chain, start to finish, still requires a lot of investment. So it's not going to be one entity. It's through very strong partnerships across various players in the industry, and having the PDPs put in place the type of investments. You know, yesterday someone spoke to me about Africa distribution does just not exist. And just to depend on global distribution networks is going to hamper the ability of these enterprises in order to go and actually gain market access across that environment. But it's extremely important that we continue. So we do programs like AfriCreative. We work across Africa to identify the talent. There's a lot of talent development programs. We know that best practices exist, not necessarily in these markets, but as an example, partnerships in the animation space with Goblan, Spielfabrik in the gaming space, which is why the foresight of some of the PDPs in making those investments has been important for us going forward. We see the universities, we see private sector. So unfortunately, I think there's still a big move by the private sector. They're seeing CCI belonging in marketing as corporate social responsibilities. And I think it's important for the players in this space to be able to show the financial impact. And thank goodness for SDGs and some of the regulations such as Black economic empowerment and the need for transformation in making it a more important agenda and prioritization within private sector. And hopefully the PDPs will continue to make the right investments.
Cool. Thank you. Evert, as one of the players who are making the investment Mark speaks of, could you share with us the work that Enable's been doing in Guinea in terms of localizing your work to the entrepreneurs, as well as what made your program, Guinea Creative, successful?
Okay, maybe first a short description of what the project Guinea Creative aims in Guinea. That was to support the emergence of the creative economy in Guinea by strengthening the capacities of entrepreneurs in the fashion, design, and audio-visual sector. The project was funded by the European Union. Enable is not a bank, but we are very complementary with banks and with financing, other financing instruments as a technical assistance. The budget was of about €2.5 million or dollars. The focus was most on, first on incubation, professional training, market access, and the acceleration of creative business. The Guinea Creative project was fully embedded, in fact, in an already existing private sector development program financed by the Belgian bilateral cooperation. So I think that was also a factor of success. Maybe a little bit more about the methodologies before talking about the success stories. It was very important from the beginning. The project was only for 2 years. And the first year was really a year of structuring the demands and the offer, the supply, and to involve there actively the stakeholders from the beginning and to adopt that demand-driven approach that was relatively new for most of the artists. There is really very much talent in Guinea in the creative sector, but the mindset that also it has to generate some income, and that also it has to respond to a demand if you want to have success. That was also an eye-opener for our local artists there in Guinea. So yes, the question that we always have to ask was, does the initiative meet a need market? And so our artists in Guinea had to find a subtle balance between their artistic and creative freedom and economic profitability. What I noted, yes, maybe I can illustrate with some success stories. We had a group, we selected first all artists by a call of expression of interest, very free, and then with methodologies of trial and error, the most talented or successful, they stayed, and they were accompanied by a training, business-oriented, how to make a pitch, how goes the sales process, how you can negotiate. And they tested it also in not only in theory, but also in practice. They went to local or national events where they could make matchmaking with producers or with the economic environment. That was for the musicians, and they went to Visa for Music. It's a well-known festival, and I think they won 6 awards there. So it was a success in the second year of the project. Another example, because not all examples illustrates the same approach or the same level of intervention. There was a direct business support to individuals, but also we worked on more on the meso and macro level, on more regulatory frameworks, because one of the difficulties was to formalize those entrepreneurs of artists. Without formalization, they hadn't access to credits, they couldn't have visa and so on. They couldn't respond to other call for proposals and so on. So we worked also on the formalization of their enterprises, their creative enterprises, which asked also capacity building on the national level before you could be accredited. Even the national authorities, they didn't know there was a sort of they could not recognize artists as an enterprise. But we worked on that, and finally 50 enterprises were accredited in Guinea, were formalized in that sense. A last example maybe of success, we worked even on an international level, national and international, is for the labelization, intellectual property of the famous fabric lepi in Guinea, with indigo lepi special wove. That first we helped the wovers to make a deposit of their demand. It was approved at the national level, and now in this month of March, 2 years after the closing of the project, or 1.5 years later, it's still ongoing without direct support of Enable, or they do it themselves. At this moment, there starts an accreditation mission from I have the name here, from African intellectual property, just to officialize that labelization that liberalization, which facilitates the fight against the counterfeiting. There was a sort of levy imported from the Chinese, which is of course not to the benefit of the local artists.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe I stop here at the moment and
Thank you, Evan. I'm going to attempt taking a few questions from the audience in a few minutes, but I still have one super fast round of questions for the speakers. So if I could ask you to keep it pretty high level, around a minute or two to a response. And Cynthia, I'm going to kick off with you. We're seeing quite an increase of demand in African cultural products at the moment. But we still, like we said, there's that missing gap around actually supporting them to scale effectively into other markets. Where and how is Bank of Industry practically supporting creative entrepreneurs to access other markets successfully?
Please, could you come again?
How is Bank of Industry supporting the demand for African cultural products, and how are you supporting the access to the markets effectively?
Okay, thank you very much. We started with providing cheap funds to support competitive position so that they were able to go to the global market. Apart from the cheap funds, we also have capacity building support for creatives. We work with partners and also give market exposure to the creatives. What we also do is to ensure that we have tailor-made financing models, schemes that could support each segment of the business, knowing that the funding for fashion may not work for the funding for cinemas. So we have special funding to drive businesses in those areas. For market exposures, we ensure that we support entrepreneurs that are ready to showcase their products outside the country and giving access to global market opportunities too. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean-Michel, Triggerfish has presence and studios in both South Africa and Ireland. I'm quite keen to know from you, what would incentivize Triggerfish to grow the South African studio, to expand it, and thereby contributing more to our local economy?
Thanks, Leslie. Years ago, when I first started in the film industry, my boss at the time said to me, to work in the space, hope springs eternal. What I've learned over time is that hope is not a good business strategy. I think the potential of the creative space is so huge. To give you an idea, the creative economy in California is equal to South Africa's GDP. And when you go onto the film lots in Los Angeles and see, you are shocked at the size of it. I know that there's a tremendous amount of investor interest in Africa at the moment, and particularly in the creative space. And it's really exciting to see. I think the biggest challenge, and I'm going to talk in a Pan-African context, is that the soft funding, I have very mixed feelings about soft funding and the tax credits that are going around in the film space. But in North America and Europe, they are significant. I think the biggest challenge for African producers is that we do not have a very strong film tax incentive, and it creates a hole in our business plan. So a dream for me would be if we could see the soft funding tagged to the equity investment and actually managed by the development finance institutions themselves. This would be a way for, if this, let's call it a super fund, was managed at a Pan-African level, that I think this would move African producers onto the front foot in bringing the very best of African creativity to the world stage.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Masana, where and how do you see us growing public-private investment to support the expansion of our local African cultural artifacts and even film? But even within your context, visual industries. And it's come up in the panel earlier on about the IP rights of creative entrepreneurs. In fact, you said it, that is still an issue. So when, how do we attract public-private investment while supporting entrepreneurs in IP protection? Thank you.
Your mic is a bit, I think I missed some of the question.
How do we attract public-private investment while supporting IP rights, intellectual property rights?
Yeah. Okay, in terms of the IP rights, that is still an issue, that is a huge challenge in the creative industries across the board, whether you're looking at fashion, whether you're looking at music, and also in film, it is an issue. And I think if we come together as government and private sector, to sort of find ways on how we can close the gap, and the DTIC would be a major contributor on this, on how we can close the gap. And I think also to unlock the potential of all of this, we would need also a robust policy that would protect and close all the gaps in terms of how we help the sector going forward. It can be in IP, and it can also be in investment. And how do we access that? Thank you.
So thank you. Mark, what interventions has Tsimologong Precinct put in place to facilitate public-private partnerships with digital creative entrepreneurs? And where and how can public development banks support this agenda?
Yeah, so our main aim overall from a developmental point of view is enterprise development. I think we touched on the fact that there's a lot of investment required in order to create market access, specifically in the CCI industry. So we're dealing with the potential around this, including creating funds, right? Yeah. I think not just in the CCI, but one of the biggest challenges that enterprises find is that they can go through seed funding, pre-seed funding, then in the CCI space, we have to create market access, and that's where we need help. But more important, how do we create the funding capability in order to drive scale? And there's two parts to that. It's like we will require help on setting up the platforms, setting up the enabling environment, but also funding. If we're honest with ourselves, new enterprises struggle in the current model to find the correct funding for them to actually go through acceleration and scale. And I think it's people like us who have to start working close on the partnerships in helping them to do that. Because yes, there's some great PR moments where we can showcase a couple, but we're trying to do it at scale in order to create the right economic environment and to create the jobs in order to reduce poverty in the country.
Yeah, thank you. And just building on the question of Masana and Mark, Masana spoke about robust policies needed, Mark mentioned the right economic environment. What policy changes and metrics do you think are needed to get creative entrepreneurs investment ready, but while ensuring that we are getting the social and financial impact that we need?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Leslie. So I think we are looking at this through the fact that creative industries really have a great potential for those of our partner countries that seek to diversify economies. So it's very important. You can tap into one of the most dynamic sectors of the world economy, and thereby CCIs are important, but also for the social cohesion, the cultural expression, diversity, inclusion area. So our programs in this area have taught us a few points which I'd like to mention. So first is that how crucial it is to have better access to finance. That's of course something where policies can come in. I mean, you can do this with various tools. You have an opportunity to give tax incentives for investors. You can create sector-specific investment funds, guarantee schemes to de-risk investments into CCIs. and mobilizing private finance at scale, which is very essential. So public-private partnerships are key. And here we work with the PDBs and with the MDBs of the world through risk-sharing instruments. So case in point is our guarantee tool, which we provide to the financiers. And then, for example, there's a window for SMEs there. So that can then help indeed, accessing finance. Another point to mention is that there is a lack of financial literacy and business skills in the sector. And this, on one hand, it limits the CCI entrepreneurs' ability to scale. And on the other hand, the financial intermediaries sometimes hesitate, then they probably have a limited knowledge of the sector. And that's what we try to address through the Creatify, both of these areas, by offering training and technical assistance to equip both entrepreneurs and financiers with necessary knowledge to bridge these gaps. Third element to mention is what Mark also mentioned, that there is a need for strong distribution channels and digital platforms and to connect the creative businesses to national and international markets. And one area where we have something going on that sector is this fashionomics that I mentioned, the initiative to create African digital marketplace tools to address this. And then on the social impact and inclusion, this should also be measured and tracked. So there should need to be, a public or financier activity on that, and assessing how the CCIs influence areas like education or mental health or gender equality, how to promote social cohesion. So it's essential to create, follow, monitor, create data, so that you can actually then grasp the broader societal values that you have.
Thank you. I mean, that perfectly leads me up the question to Evert. Evert, when you work with local communities, where and how do you go about measuring the impact of your local partners? What are those indicators we should look at for the ultimate impact we want on the ground with the entrepreneurs?
Thank you. Among the indicators are the number of businesses created. I think we were more or less 50. The formalized, created or formalized, sorry, the proportion of women among business leaders, which was of about 40%. The number of businesses that have raised funds. There were some problems in the sense that it was very difficult to obtain the amounts around the 50,000 euros or dollars. It was too much for the microcredit and not enough for the banks. So there is really a problem with the missing middle of financing, particularly maybe in the cultural and creative sector. In other sectors like agriculture, there are already better solutions, local banks that are specialized in agriculture financing for amounts around the $50,000. But it was really a problem to find that in the creative sector. Okay, we should work on that, but I don't have the solution. Maybe there are banks between us here. Maybe I can ask the question to you, return that question to.
No, absolutely, and this is something we need to solve for. I mean, the question around what are the sort of the right impact metrics has been floating around this week, this work, and it would be interesting if you look at this touch point, and if we meet again in a year from now at the next fix, to start understanding what do successful metrics look like for that missing middle. Yeah. If any other panelists have a comment on that, you're welcome.
I think it is because the banks don't know very well the model, the economic model of the cultural sector. In the agriculture sector, they know in the meantime I think 30 years ago. It was also relatively new in Guinea, because I was already in Guinea more than 30 years ago, so I can compare a little bit. I see the evolution.
Yeah.
And in the agriculture sector, in the financing of the agriculture sector, they made a great progress, and they did a great work. But it still has to start for the cultural sector. The economic models are not yet very well understood.
Yeah.
Maybe not very well presented also, not very well understood by the banks, maybe not very well developed by the cultural enterprises. So there's some work on that side. Also, side of the banks, I think, as from the side of the creative enterprises.
So, thank you.
That's my answer, but it gives not a solution, my answer.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. We have time for, I think, 2 or 3 questions from the floor. If anyone wants to direct a question, if you can raise your hand. Let's see. Okay, can I please ask you to come down? And Alize, if we'll take 3 questions. So I'm seeing one on top, one at the bottom, and then Nosipo, I see your hand. Thank you. So if you could make sure they take actual questions, short, sharp, and then we'll take 3 questions directed to the panelists, and then we'll panelists can listen in and respond from there. Thank you.
Hi. Good afternoon, everybody. A quick question. I realize that one of the most topical issues hasn't been covered in terms of AI, and I wanted to find out from...
we can't hear you.
You
Can
can't
I
hear
ask
me?
you maybe to come closer?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. So I am Nosipo Maketo van den Bracht, and I'm the CEO of Chocolate Tribe. My question revolves around AI. I think one of the biggest disruptors in the industry is in relation to AI, and I wanted to just get some insights and thoughts from any of the panelists around the impact of AI in unlocking jobs and growth within this space. Thank you.
Sure. So the impact on AI, okay, so you could think about who wants to take it in the meantime. Yes?
Should I answer?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Stephen Nagel. I'm a filmmaker. I'm also a board member of the IBFC. That's the Independent Black Filmmakers Collective. So I just wanted to highlight something that I heard here. You spoke about CCIs and promoting women and black-owned businesses. And I think we speak a lot about diversity and inclusion as well. But you also mentioned that these are very high-risk companies in terms of the investments that are being made into them. And we mentioned the word transformation as well. And I just think a lot of those things do come together. So my question is, are there actually opportunities for those types of businesses within this space when we know they're high risk, when we know we need to move towards transformation and inclusion, but the untransformed businesses, which are often propped up by generational wealth and connections in the industry, they are often more attractive for financial investment. So how do we bridge that gap to make sure that we can invest in these emerging businesses owned by women, owned by people of color and locals? Thank you.
Thank you. And then I'll take the final question.
Thank you very much, Facilitator. I am Dombi Makwetu from the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies. We are finalizing a white paper in the department focusing on audio and audiovisual content services, digital media, and online safety. So one of the proposals that we are making in the paper is that funding has to be streamlined just to avoid the double dipping, but also costs as they related to compliance and funding. So any of the panel members can answer the question. The second question is from Nodlo.
Can you frame, like, what is the question? I heard about the paper, but what's the actual question?
The question, I would like to get their views in terms of the proposals that we are making in the white paper concerning the streamlining of funding. If you look at South Africa, funding for creatives is coming from different agencies of government.
Yeah.
So I would want to have their views on that, but also how we can also link up with the private sector in terms of making sure that we streamline funding as a country. The second question is from Nolo, and it's directed to Jean Michael. The question is, how do we deepen cross-border collaboration? Thank you so much, Leslie.
Thank you. Who would like to take the first question around the impact of AI on jobs? Sure. Okay, Mark? Okay, yeah, go for it.
I have a quick thought on that. I think it's really exciting, the AI. I think it's going to bring down production costs a lot. And it's also going to give a lot of power to creatives. And the storytellers are going to have a very powerful tool to really elevate storytelling. The other day, someone showed me a show that's produced by one person. It's written, and there's special effects and only using AI. And so the future, I think, is bright. I think what we're also going to see is a deluge of content. So having good content is going to have to rise to the top, and there's just going to be a lot more of it. If you look at
these programs from an enterprise developed to drive equality, but also to tap into people who don't have the opportunity to participate.
From public and private perspective, both on the public, it's hard for me to comment, but on the private sector part, so what we try to do is to act as an enabler, and that means that we'd like to see this sector being supported so that we are actually there to help de-risk the sector through guarantee programs, for example. That means that the PDPs and the local financial intermediaries will have access to funding that they can give with better conditions to entrepreneurs. And I think that their streamlining may be a bit difficult to achieve, because actually the more the merrier, and we want to also I suppose, see a bit of competition in the market, because that normally tends to drive down the prices and be beneficial for the entrepreneurs. So at least on the private sector side, I think that we rather need to multiply a bit the channels.
Oh, thank you. Then Jean-Michel, there was Masana, did you want to come in? Yes.
I also wanted to contribute on the funding streamlining. You know, as government, we always have challenges when it comes to double dipping. People asking for funding from one department, and they end up with funding from 3, which is unfair, because we've got the general public that is also looking for that funding, but it ends up going to one person. So I think some sort of a funding framework would assist, where government and funding bodies come together and develop this framework, or perhaps like a ledger where names of people that have been funded by organizations can appear there. So then we can see who has been funded, then equity, for equity reasons, then we can see. And I think a funding indaba where everyone can sit around the table and brainstorm on how this streamlining can happen. That would also assist. Thank you.
So.
Yeah, thank you. Database for all the opportunities will be very important, so that it's easier for you to track those that have accessed some of them. For us, the financial institutions, what we found is gap. So if we're able to also find out those other funding opportunities that come in terms of grants and sponsorship, it's easier for you to determine the difference from the budget and other opportunities that each applicant had actually had access to. So proper structured database will be very important.
Okay. While you still have the mic, please have a comment. You've been thinking a lot about inter-Africa trade. Maybe if I can ask you to comment on that. And then, Jean-Michel, the question was actually towards you as well, around cross-border collaboration and what your view was on that. But Sandra, do you want to give us a view? I know you've been thinking a lot around inter-Africa trade and the Africa Free Continental Trade Agreement. Am I putting you on the spot? Get it? Inter-Africa trade. Okay, it's fine. Jean-Michel, can I ask you to comment? The question was around cross-border collaboration.
I think that animation is such a hugely collaborative effort. So, you know, for us as a company, we're always looking to find partners. I think another thing too with the film industry is by nature quite risky. So the benefit of working with partners is that you share the risk, and the quantum of capital that you need to put into a project comes down when you have partners. So everybody, as in all of us as production companies, we have different risk profiles, and you know, sometimes you've committed capital to projects and you've got less capital. To manage the risk in the film industry, you really got to look at it like portfolio risk. You've got to spread the risk out multiple projects, because you actually don't know how each individual project is going to perform financially. But much like venture capital, if you've got 10 bets on the table, you know you're going to get some distribution of outcomes across each of the individual projects. But I think as any producer or production company, you have to network, and we opened up a studio in Ireland. I think it's really important for us, for many reasons, to have a footprint in Europe. It's also opened up a whole new universe of potential investors, creators, and other producers that we would like to work with. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to do one final rapid round as part of seeing off the panel. Question is, to all of you, very briefly, how can your organization advance partnerships to increase job creation and economic growth through the CCI? So in the context of the conversation we've had, your final word on how your organization can contribute. Do you want to kick off?
Okay, sure. Maybe I start. So the European Union wants to support the CCIs to thrive and contribute to job creation in our partner countries, and we aim to leverage impact investments and improve the market access conditions through the Creatify program that I mentioned. And in addition, we have just recently, in fact, adopted last year a 15 million package in support for audiovisual sector in sub-Saharan Africa. And through this, we plan to support the entire value chain, support incubator projects, and invest in also in emerging subsectors such as video games and virtual reality. And we are furthermore also supporting our partners with strengthening their cultural related policies through EU UNESCO expert facilities. So these are some examples on how we hope to unlock this enormous potential of the sector.
Okay. Yes, same question. Right.
Yes, so sure. I think I sort of covered it in my discussion just now. But I think it's all about scale and making it more accessible. Yeah. And that's sort of built into strategically what we need to do. We just need help to make sure the investments are there in order to support enterprises so that this can become a thriving economy in South Africa.
Thank you. I think for the DSEC, one key initiative that was established to counter the sector challenges was the MGE strategy. And in essence, what this seeks to do is to promote economic growth and job creation through the arts, and it focuses more on harnessing the cultural resources that will stimulate local economies. And to aid this, we also established the South African Cultural Observatory that collects data from the creative industries, and that feeds into what work we're doing and who we are funding, and it adds to the whole ecosystem of our funding strategy. And yeah, I think through that, the MGE and the work that is being done in the sector, if we work together, we could go a long way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ours will be strong engagement in terms of partnership and support for projects to be able to give more opportunities for market increase and participation Thank you.
I'm not sure if I have the answer to that. It's such a huge topic. I think another thing that we don't have a deep local market across Africa. If you take a country like Japan, for example, you can make a $40 million movie and you can make $200 million at the box office in Japan alone. When you've got that kind of local market, it's amazing. And we don't have that in Africa. So people want to see themselves on the screen, but it's very difficult to see yourself on the screen when your local market is not deep enough if you're looking to make premium content. How do you grow the local market? I don't know. It feels to me that perhaps the local African broadcasters, if there was a forum and a Pan-African...
The regional local market, it can broaden the regional and the local market. There's also really an interest in Africa creativity all over the world, I think. So that's what I want to add.
Thank you. I mean, I will do an attempt at a summary. Firstly, this is our inaugural conversation at the Finance in Commons Summit linked to the cultural and creative industries. So thank you. I think we can give ourselves a round of applause. There's a lot of work to be done. I think that became very clear on the panel. There's a need to coordinate, to structure. There's a need for partnerships. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of will, but we do need to structure it in order to get access. We need a blended finance. We need to make sure that we de-risking financial opportunities or through the correct instruments for entrepreneurs. And we need to make sure that entrepreneurs can find the right local partners to access these large amounts that we are speaking about. One thing I would like to invite all of you in the room is to join the Coalition for Sustainable Development through Culture and Arts. You can find it on the Finance in Commons website. I'll just read the purpose. Its purpose is to leverage the power of culture and arts investments in culture and artistic projects. And this is welcome to both experts. We need experts. Those are you in the room. As well as more public development banks. There are 7 who have signed up already. So thank you for joining us today, and please do not run off. I'm going to hand over to Boitumelo Masako, from the CEO of DBSA, as well as to Adam Mariko, the Secretary General of Finance in Commons Summit at the AFD. And the panelists, please take your seats at the bottom. Thank you. Oh, I didn't think about that.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are just taking a little bit of a break while we just wait for our lovely people to join us. So we just would like to find out, first of all, who is here from France? Is there someone from France? Which country? Oh, there we go. Fantastic. Right, we're coming to have a chat to you, my lovely lady. Please tell me, where have you been in Cape Town since you've been here?
Sorry, I was shitting a little bit. I'm French, but I'm living in South Africa, so I think you have to
So it's lies and deceit. She knows Cape Town well. Who doesn't know? Who's touring for the first time? Who's here to visit our beautiful country for the first time? Yes, fantastic. Okay. And where are you from, lovely lady?
I'm from Nigeria.
Nigeria. Is it your first time in South Africa?
No, but the first time in Cape Town.
First time in Cape Town. And have you been able to see any of our lovely sites so far?
None yet.
Okay, so we have some rules and regulations when you come to Cape Town, guys. First of all, you have to try the wine. That is the first thing. Have you had South African wine yet? Yes? Fantastic. It is amazing.
Okay, so we're speaking to you and we can see you waving, but we need you to give noise. It's the Friday. It's the weekend. In Cape Town, it's already weekend. Cape Town does not reply to emails after 1 o'clock. So by all means, we are on leave now. So I need everybody to make noise. Can we make noise?
There we go. That's more like it.
Louder. Hey, I know we're still in our very formal suits. Everybody's looking beautiful, but I need noise and show us the love. Make noise.
Yes. I mean, you've been sitting through a lot of speakers, a lot of panels, a lot of moderators. It's time to release. It's the weekend. It's Friday. We call it Friday. Have you seen Camps Bay Beach? That's how Cape Townians work. They work like that on the beach.
Camps Bay is full already. Camps Bay has been full from Tuesday afternoon because Cape Town was like, you know what? If the sun is out, we live in a postcard. That's what Cape Town is all about. What are the other sites that you...
Well, you have to go up Table Mountain. If you haven't been up Table Mountain yet, that is something that you guys definitely should do. The views are spectacular.
But also take the cable car. You can walk, but
no, why
it's
would
a
you
lot
want
of
to
steps.
No, you only walk if someone's chasing you, right? That's how it goes.
The cable car is a beautiful 360 views that will... It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Just also put on sunblock. The African sun will burn you. That's what I've learned the hard way.
Definitely. And of course, if you would like to take your way around to Seal Island, which is on the other side, you can go and see all the seals. We have great white sharks out there. We do actually do great white shark cage diving as well. That's something. Anyone brave enough to do that? I've done it. Yes. Yes. You see, there we go.
You are braver than me, ma'am. I look at fish from a distance. I stand on the side and I go, hi. That's all I need to do. Actually, I prefer my fish in the aquarium. We are safe from each other.
Which is also another fantastic place for you guys to go and visit. The aquarium down at the waterfront. Beautiful. There are some sharks in there as well, but you don't have to swim with them. So that's a bonus.
Also, while you guys are in Cape Town, I hope you're not leaving tomorrow or soon after. Like stay, if your company paid for you to be here, use your company money to stay longer, extend the trip. That man is laughing already. He's like, yes, I booked another 2 weeks in Cape Town. The company's paying for it. It's fine. And then also, what else is the, in my mind, I'm running through this sunset on Signal Hill. That is just beautiful and serene as well. It's just
some beautiful hikes up there. Beautiful hikes. And I'll tell you a story that happened to me. So I was actually shooting a movie. And in the movie, I had to jump off Lion's Head in one of those paragliders. It was absolutely terrifying. I was like, why have I not got a stunt person to do this? Why am I doing this myself? But that is something you can also do if you're brave enough to do it.
I feel like that's a tame adrenaline junkies thing to do.
No, listen, there are some things, it's just, do I look outdoorsy to you? I mean, is this saying outdoorsy? No. When I had to hike up that mountain and then throw myself off with gay abandon, it was absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
But worth it if you haven't done it, I suppose.
And there's also the Red Bus Tour.
Yes, that's a good one for you guys to do.
If you not in the mood to drive or you just want to be a passenger, the Red Bus Tour is really great as well.
And it goes on various routes. You can jump on, jump off. It takes you all the way around Cape Town, all the sites, and it's a really nice, easy way to see the city. So that's a really fun thing to do.
Did we just become tour guides
for
Cape Town?
Yeah, we are literally tour guides for Cape Town now. This is part of our other job, apparently, but also tour guides for Cape Town.
So if anybody wants to employ us to show you around, we will sit in the car and tell you where's what to do in Cape Town.
But guys, don't disappear because when everybody has joined us, we have got a fantastic closing show for you. Some very exciting surprises. Of course, we also have the table tennis tournament winners, the basketball winners. So stay with us in the room, and I guarantee you it's going to be a fantastic closing. It's been something that our organizers have been putting together, and they've been very secretive about it, but we are very excited to share it with you, and it is proudly South African.
Also, of a whole week of sitting in talks, and we've been listening and taking in and seeing like the potential. With our closing show, we're about to see the potential as well, to see the artists do their thing.
Absolutely. And we have so much talent, as you all know, in South Africa, from singers, dancers, actors, sportsmen, I mean, all of it across the board, which is, of course, why you guys are all here. And we are super proud of the talent that we have. We would love to share more of it with you. And if you can, while you're here, if you'd like to actually go and see some of the talent that we have from South Africa on stage, we have Dear Evan Hansen, which is showing at the Artscape Theatre, proudly South African cast. And of course, we have the Addams Family musical, which is also showing at the moment in Cape Town, another proudly South African cast. All actors, singers, dancers, that's what we're doing here. We're trying to create that kind of vibe so we can be on an international level, on an international stage, and here you guys are, so come and support our locals. I think that would be a fun thing to do.
The moment you said Addams Family, the only thing I heard was dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yeah, we also do karaoke if you're interested, but that's extra. Not today though.
You can hire us for your private parties as well. We will sing happy birthday. We know all the words. We've practiced it many times with our family, so by all means we got this.
It is the most awkward song to sing, though, right? Because when someone's singing, they're all singing "Happy Birthday" to you. You just sit there and you're like, okay, what do I do? You just sit there, yeah.
Happy birthday. What do you say to me?
To me, yeah, I suppose so.
Oh, also, I just want them to get done. I want cake. That's all that I just want cake in our life. Right, guys? Life will be better if there's just more cake.
I think someone said that once. And what about biltong? Have you tried biltong yet? Come on. Biltong. Okay, so for the Americans, it's like jerky, but better, right? Jerky's not real. No, jerky's not real. We don't do jerky here. We do biltong. Biltong is proper cured lekker. Have you heard the word lekker in South Africa yet? Come on, if you haven't heard the word lekker, where have you been? Lekker is also translated to sweet, but lekker, that is how we describe biltong. You have to try it. It is amazing. It is a staple. And if you haven't had a South African braai.
I feel like just on lekker also, it's cool, sweet, cool. You can just reply lekker.
If a South African says to you, how are you? You can reply, I'm lekker. That's how you can do it. Then they know, oh, okay.
This is also aware.
Aware. Okay, now you have to describe that.
So aware means yes, it means hello, it means I agree with you, it's just a word that fits any context depending on how you deliver it.
You have to give an example now.
So, are we good to go? We got 5 seconds. So if anybody greets you, you just go aware. If you say aware, I say aware. Are we aware?
No, no, guys.
Aware
guys.
must be given with joy and love. It's just
Gusto.
a word that means everything. Aware. Aware.
There we go. That's what we're talking about.
So we have away from that side. Now we need away from the middle. Aware. I'm going to come back to you guys because that one wasn't feeling it. These people are on their phones, but again, aware. Aware.
We
That
have a
man was like a
single aware
fancy
up there.
aware. The middle people, I know you guys are here.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, aware. Let's give us more love on that side. Aware.
Yeah, listen, if it was a competition, first place, second place, non-competitors. Just not competing at all here. Okay, yeah, we can give you maybe a tie there. Okay, I think we are starting to get ready to rock and roll. So, if everybody would like to take their seats, anyone who wants to join us, we are about to get going, and we'd like to pass the microphone over. You have your mic. Welcome.
Thank you. I have a mic, and I'm taking up improv classes after this because of you.
We've got you.
As long as you say aware.
Exactly. So this brings us to the closing ceremony of the Finance in Common arena. Thank you for joining us. But I'm not doing the official thank you and goodbyes. I'd like to hand over to Mrs. Boitumelo Maseko. Thank you for joining us, the CEO of the Development Bank of South Africa. And do we have Mr. Adamo Mariko? Do I see you? Are you here? Are you here? 2 minutes. So we're handing over? Where's our improv gang? Where are they? We're still waiting for one more speaker.
Oh, Adrian, we're still waiting for one more speaker.
Okay, so we are waiting for one more speaker. One more speaker. So you're stuck with us for a bit longer, I'm afraid. I know, aren't you thrilled? Thrilled to your call. I can see how thrilled you are. 2 people are thrilled. Not sure about, are you guys thrilled? You see, they're very committed, hey? They're more committed. I think we need to take lessons from there. Okay, do you know the other South African word that we do say a lot that really confuses people is the word shame?
Shame. It doesn't even mean bad. It just means that you have taken away and you care for it.
It's true. And of course, one thing that confuses everyone that comes to this country is when we say now, or just now, right? I'm going to see you just now. It's not the same as I'm going to see you now. And that's definitely not the same as now. Those are very different things. Yeah, you see, I'm right. So just now is like, well, yeah, just now. That's any time between now and whenever I feel like it. Okay? Forever. But then if it's now, that's much more urgent. That's like going to be happening sooner.
Hi, good evening. Good evening. This is so Cape Townian of me to go, it's 1 o'clock, it's good evening already, because it means it's the weekend. Are we passing on the mic? He's got one over there. Okay, so this is of our last panel, and I need you guys to show all the love, make all the noise. If they say something that you connect with, just clap your hands and make noise. So, but all, round of applause for our speakers for the final panel.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. That's great. You are finance in common. You gotta keep the energy, keep the shape, right? So no, thank you very much for being here. This has been a dream that came true, to be honest. We started this with just a bold idea or just a crazy idea on saying we were gonna put a stadium within the Finance in Common Summit, like have bankers in sneakers speaking about sports, art, and culture, and thinking beyond what they do at a daily basis, which is also a very nice mandate, helping reducing poverty, helping creating jobs, helping developing, and creating economic growth in the countries, but also working into global responsibility, which is how do we work in a sustainable way in protecting the climate, protecting the world, and making, the social living, creating wealth for the communities, and that's what Finance in Common is about and Public Development Bank is about. But not just that. We have also sensed that art, sport, and culture are strong values that can be, into finance, and how we think on better use of those tools, the capacity that public development banks are bringing also to support local communities, to support health, to support education, and to support social equality throughout sports and development. That was the challenge, and I think that for the first time in the banking story, for the first time in the banking summit story, and I'm saying it again, for the first time in the banking summit story, we have a full space dedicated to art, sport, and culture, supporting this industry and really thinking about how this can generate, equality and generate new things in the system. So this is an innovation, but it's an innovation that is just kickstarting, the thinking within the public development banking system. This has been also a way to also promote what the local communities are doing, what the CSOs are doing in this ecosystem, promote the economic capacity that can be created through sports, art, and culture, and the job creation, and having the public development banks think that through the value chain of investments. When you do infrastructure, when you create school, think about how you can also have people that are creating something, that are bringing hope, that are bringing, passion through sport within our investment. I am Adama Mariko. I am the Secretary General of the Finance in Common, and I'm very proud to see you all here. And I just want to thank you, all the team that have worked, through this, that has made it through, and help our delegates to see what you are doing. Yeah, I'm really proud of you, and I really want to thank you again. And thank my sister Boitumelo Mosako that makes this happen, and I'm going to give you the floor for this stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Adama. I just want to reflect on the sports arena at FIX 2025. As we scale the conversation on sports, arts, and culture, the sports arena delivered on a number of fronts. The 3 days focused on the role of sports and broader creative economies in sustainable development. The stadium in the FIX Arena hosted 5 plenaries and 1 high-level session focusing on sports for sustainable development across the 3 days of FIX 2025. We've had 50 speakers from over 40 institutions, including PDBs, private sector, civil society, academia. We even had a chairperson of the Olympic Organizing Committee. Over 700 attended the panel discussions across the 3 days. We had a zip-zap circuit, gumboot dancers, drummers, PJ Powers, Mzansi Youth Choir. And there were several activations, including the open space, where as delegates we could participate in variety of sports. Basketball, sport photo exhibits, we had playmakers, marketplace, where everybody used their vouchers to purchase products that have been made locally. So you are all taking a bit of South Africa with you when you purchased all of those items. The stands, Fixed Arts and Culture Coalition, CAV, DBSA Lab, Pop-Up, IOC, and all the various engagements that were held. This morning, I had the opportunity to present at UN Women a report on financing care infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, sports infrastructure is care infrastructure. Sports builds communities, unites communities, builds culture. Sports is a critical part of sustainable development. For me, today is a great celebration, and I really want to thank everyone who has made this possible. I remember when this idea came that we're going to have a sports arena, and we're like, how are we going to do it in such a short period of time? And look at what we have achieved. So I'd like all of us to have a round of applause for all the team members that have made this possible. Alessandro, Kerry, everyone that has made this possible. Nelson, everyone that has made this possible. All our partners. This is testimony of what collaboration and cohesion can achieve. So in closing, I want us to stand up just for a minute and say with me, building Africa's prosperity through sports, arts and culture development. Let's agree together. Building Africa's prosperity through sports, arts and culture development. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. And thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Louder, 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 louder. This has been a great week. Louder, everyone. Noise with your mouth, noise with your feet. Give your bodies, make the noise. Round of applause. Oh, you got it. Let's go.
We're not talking. There we go. Thank you so much to everybody who has made this such a roaring success. We have a couple of people that we would like to thank from, obviously, the Development Bank of South Africa.
Yes. The Fix Secretariat, our co-hosts. Come on up, everybody. Come and down on the stage. Come and take a bow. You guys deserve it. You've worked hard. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Oops, sorry.
Let's move out here. Take that stage. Take that stage. Thank you all so, so much. And we just like to also just talk about our team, our organizing team for this as well. The motto that we are trying to really bring home is visualize victory. Visualize victory is something we are doing as a cohesive force together, elevating everything, elevating this session, elevating the entire experience.